and welcome to our Daily News Roundup on Atlantic TV. I am Kichi Tejere. Here are our top stories. Federal government backs military, quells coup rumor as political tension rises. Warri ownership is non-negotiable. IYC reaffirms Oluwabori's sole authority and overlordship. Freeing Nnamdi Kanu now protest grounds Abuja. Security forces lock down city center. NDLEA uncovers drugs hidden in frozen snails, bulbs, and clothes. Arrest multiple suspects nationwide. EU sets 2027 deadline to end Russian gas imports. Slot stands firm after fourth straight loss. We are creating, not crumbling. Now to the news in full. The federal government has thrown its weight behind the defense headquarters following widespread rumors of an alleged failed coup attempt against President Bola Tinubu's administration, a claim that has sparked intense political reactions nationwide. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, in an interview on Sunday, said the Tinubu-led government has absolute confidence in the Nigerian military and sees no reason to doubt the defense headquarters' position. This follows Saturday's statement by defense spokesperson Brigadier General Tukur Gusau, who dismissed reports by Sahara reporters linking the detention of 16 military officers to a coup plot. Gusau describes the report as false, malicious, and aimed at creating unnecessary tension. He clarified that the cancellation of the October 1st Independence Day parade was purely administrative, allowing President Tinubu to attend a foreign engagement and troops to continue operations against insurgency and banditry. Meanwhile, Pan-Yoruba socio-political group Afenifere has cautioned against any attempt to truncate Nigeria's democracy, describing any coup plot as a calamitous mission. National Publicity Secretary Jare Ajayi said a military takeover would set Nigeria back by decades, adding that military rule is never a solution to hardship. In a separate statement, Afenifere's National Organizing Secretary Abagun Cole Omololu warned that any officer harboring political ambition should resign and contest elections rather than betray their oath. He stressed that the nation's scars from past coup must never be repeated and commended the defense headquarters for reaffirming its loyalty to the Constitution and the Commander-in-Chief. The federal government says it stands firmly with the military in safeguarding the nation's territorial integrity and democracy. Opposition parties, however, are demanding transparency. The NNPP's Ladipo Johnson and the Labour Party's Tony Akeni urged the authorities to disclose the truth about the detained officers, warning against conflicting statements from the military. The defense headquarters maintains that there is no cause for alarm, insisting democracy is forever, while the federal government continues to rally support for the armed forces amid growing calls for openness and calm across the nation. The federal government has strongly denied allegations by U.S. Senator Ted Cruz that Nigeria is witnessing a mass murder of Christians, describing the claim as false and dangerous. Experts say Nigeria's complex crisis is driven by multiple factors, including clashes between farmers and herders, terrorism, ethnic rivalries, and separatist violence, not religious persecution. Lad Sewat of ACLED noted that Nigeria's vast geography and mixed population makes it impossible to generalize the violence as religious. Senator Cruz, a member of the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee, alleged on social media that 50,000 Christians have been killed since 2009, with 18,000 churches and 2,000 schools destroyed by what he called Islamist armed groups. According to the Armed Conflict Location and Data Event Project, over 20,000 civilians have died in violent incidents across Nigeria since 2020, yet the data shows that both Christians and Muslims have been victims, with no clear evidence of systematic targeting by religion. Reacting to the allegations, Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris said the report grossly misrepresents Nigeria's reality, warning that such claims could fuel division and embolden extremists. In his words, portraying Nigeria's security challenges as a targeted campaign against one religious group is misleading and dangerous. Presidential aide Sunday Dare also urged Cruz and Maha to check their facts before amplifying falsehoods that malign an entire nation. Meanwhile, the Christian Association of Nigeria (CAN) clarified that while the country faces serious security challenges, the violence is not targeted at Christians alone. CAN accused some foreign commentators of trying to exploit Nigeria's domestic crisis for propaganda. Nigeria's government insists it remains committed to protecting all citizens regardless of faith, urging the international community to engage responsibly and avoid spreading divisive narratives. In Delta State today, tensions are rising again over the ownership of Warri as the Shekiri Youth Elite (IYE) reaffirmed the Olu of Warri's sole and undisputed authority over the ancient city, declaring that Warri ownership is non-negotiable. In a strongly worded statement, IYE Secretary Eboma Twoyo Michael and PRO Toju Ogaranduku dismissed what they called misleading assertions by the Urhobo Resonance Society (URS), suggesting a multi-royal dialogue on Warri's ownership involving Okere-Urhobo, Agbara, and Ogbijo monarchs. They described the call as mischievous and revisionist, insisting that Warri remains historically and legally recognized as the capital and ancestral homeland of the Shekiri people. The group warned against attempts to revive old inter-ethnic rivalries, recalling the violent crisis of the 1990s. They said dialogue is welcome, but only if it is anchored in truth, law, and respect for historical facts, not political theater. The youth leaders reaffirmed that His Majesty Ogiami Atuwashe III, CFR, the Olu of Warri, is the sole traditional and sovereign authority over the entire Warri kingdom, a position they say has been upheld by colonial records, post-independence governments, and multiple Supreme Court rulings. While acknowledging that Warri is home to diverse ethnic communities, the IYE drew a clear line between shared residency and shared ownership. They emphasized that all the groups living in the metropolis remain under the Olu's traditional overlordship. In Abuja, chaos erupted in the central business district as security operatives clamped down on protesters demanding the release of detained IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu. The demonstration, led by activist Omoyele Sowore under the hashtag Free Nnamdi Kanu Now, was intended to march towards the presidential villa, but never took off. Security forces had already sealed off key access routes before sunrise. Eyewitnesses report that police fired tear gas to disperse protesters attempting to gather near the Hilton Hotel and Nigerian Communications Commission. The swift operation saw several arrests, including Aloy Echimako, a member of Nnamdi Kanu's legal team, who confirmed his detention at the FCT Command CID. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Correctional Service has declared all correctional centers nationwide as red zones, warning protesters to steer clear of its facilities. The capital remains tense as of yesterday, with ongoing patrols and heightened alert levels as the situation continues to develop. The clampdown comes despite Showere's insistence that the protest would remain peaceful and lawful. The move also follows a federal high court injunction prohibiting demonstrations near sensitive government zones like Aso Rock, the National Assembly, and Eagle Square. The tight security lockdown has paralyzed movement across the city's diplomatic and commercial axis, leaving commuters stranded and businesses shut. Controversy deepens over the alleged failed coup plot as opposition parties and civil society groups demand full disclosure from the federal government and the defense headquarters on the arrest of 16 military officers. The defense headquarters had earlier described the arrest as a routine internal disciplinary process, but opposition voices are now questioning the official account, accusing the military of speaking with two mouths. The New Nigeria People's Party's National Publicity Secretary, Ladipo Johnson, urged authorities to come clean and clarify whether the detained officers are facing a court-martial. Similarly, the Labour Party's interim spokesperson, Tony Akeni, said conflicting statements from the military have fueled suspicion, calling on the defense headquarters to be transparent and release the full details to the public. Afenifere's National Organizing Secretary, Abagun Cole Omololu, also condemned any plot to overthrow the government, stressing that Nigeria must never again be held hostage by the gun. Adding to the growing concern, Dr. Yunusa Tanko of the Obedient Movement Worldwide said rumors of a coup might be driven by widespread discontent over government performance and warned that misinformation could further destabilize the country if left unchecked. Meanwhile, the Pan-Yoruba socio-political group Afenifere issued a stern warning against any attempt to derail Nigeria's democracy. Afenifere spokesperson Jare Ajayi declared that any coup attempt would spell doom for the nation, urging officers with political ambitions to resign and contest through the ballot. You're watching our Daily News Roundup on Atlantic TV. We'll go on a short break. When we return, more news stories on the other side.
Don't miss out on exciting news, events, and more. Stay connected by following us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Atlantic Media and TV.
Welcome back. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has busted multiple international drug smuggling attempts after discovering consignments of narcotics cleverly concealed in frozen snails, electrical bulbs, and female clothes, all bound for the US, UK, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. According to NDLEA spokesperson Femi Babafemi, the operations were conducted at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport and a courier company in Lagos. 2 suspects were arrested, including Bola Dale Rilwan, caught with 15 parcels of skunk hidden inside 10 rechargeable electrical bulbs destined for Congo. In another sting, Olawale Hakimot, a 48-year-old UK-based public health assistant, was snapped while attempting to board a Qatar Airways flight to Manchester with 2,300 pills of tramadol stuffed inside frozen snails. In a broader sweep, NDLEA destroyed over 53,000 kilograms of cannabis on 21 hectares in Ilawe, Ekiti, arrested multiple suspects, and recovered another 1,140 kilograms. Similar destruction operations were carried out in Ondo, Oyo, Ogun, Imo, and Enugu states, where more drugs and suspects were seized. At Apapa Port, officers jointly intercepted a container holding 80,000 bottles of codeine-based syrup imported from India, one of the largest single pharmaceutical seizures this year. NDLEA also intercepted 810 pills of Bramazepam hidden in female clothing parcels headed for the US, following a separate operation at a Lagos courier hub. The agency extended its crackdown beyond Lagos. In Adamawa State, a suspect, Bello Buba, was arrested with 32,270 tramadol pills hidden inside a car's spare tire and compartments. He allegedly drove all the way from Benin Republic to smuggle the drugs into Nigeria. The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, has confirmed that Ethiopian Airlines has paid its sanction fee for consumer protection violations, marking full compliance by all 3 international carriers penalized earlier this year. With Ethiopian Airlines payment, all affected airlines are now in full compliance, underscoring the regulator's firm stance on accountability and consumer welfare. Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection at the NCAA, Michael Achimogo, made the announcement on his official X handle on Monday, noting that the sanctions were not punitive but corrective. Achimogo explained that the goal was to enhance service quality and ensure all foreign airlines operating in Nigeria comply with established consumer protection standards. The sanctions are intended to help improve the services of the operators, not to punish them, he stated. The NCAA reaffirmed its commitment to defending passenger rights, adding that the authority will continue to enforce regulations that ensure fair treatment and operational transparency within the aviation industry. Earlier this year, the NCAA sanctioned 3 international airlines for infractions ranging from poor customer service to violation of passenger rights, a move widely praised by consumer advocacy groups. The European Union has taken another major step towards full energy independence from Russia. Member states have now agreed to completely phase out Russian gas imports by the end of 2027, a move that further tightens the bloc's stance against Moscow following its invasion of Ukraine. At a meeting of energy ministers in Luxembourg, EU countries approved a European Commission proposal to gradually eliminate both pipeline and liquefied natural gas imports from Russia. Denmark's energy minister, Lars Aagaard, who chairs the EU's rotating presidency, describes the decision as crucial to securing Europe's energy independence. The plan will now head to the European Parliament for final approval. It forms part of a broader EU energy diversification strategy that also includes boosting renewable sources and strengthening regional gas networks. However, not all countries are on board. Hungary and Slovakia, both still reliant on Russian pipelines, voted against the measure. Hungary's Foreign Minister, Peter Szijjártó, warned that the move could threaten his country's energy security. Under the plan, new Russian gas contracts will be banned from January 1st, 2026, while existing long-term contracts will be phased out by January 1st, 2028. Despite sharp declines since the start of the Ukraine war, Russian gas still makes up about 13% of EU imports, valued at over £15 billion annually. The European Commission says the phase-out marks a decisive step towards ending energy dependence on Moscow, a goal that once seemed distant, but it's now within reach. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he is ready to attend the proposed peace summit between Russian President Vladimir Putin and US President Donald Trump in Budapest, but only if he's formally invited. The statement comes as Trump and Putin reportedly prepare to meet in the Hungarian capital in the coming weeks, with the US president pushing for a new diplomatic effort to end the 3.5-year war that began with Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Zelensky told reporters on Monday that he would accept an invitation to participate in any three-way or shuttle diplomacy format involving direct or alternating meetings with Trump and Putin. However, the Ukrainian leader expressed skepticism about Hungary as the venue, criticizing Prime Minister Viktor Orban, whom he accused of blocking Ukraine's interests within the European Union. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump continues to advocate for a swift resolution to the war following his previous summit with Putin in Alaska earlier this year, an effort that so far has yielded no breakthrough. Zelensky noted that Kyiv remains open to peace talks in more neutral locations such as Turkey, Switzerland, or the Vatican. He also referenced the 1994 Budapest Memorandum, in which Ukraine relinquished nuclear weapons in exchange for security guarantees, a deal he said must not be repeated in vain. Away from the foreign news to sport news now, Liverpool manager Arne Slot says his players are not losing confidence despite suffering a fourth straight defeat following Sunday's 2-1 loss to Manchester United at Anfield. It was heartbreak at Anfield as Harry Maguire's late header sealed victory for United, deepening what he said the toughest spell yet for Slot since replacing Jurgen Klopp. But the Dutchman refused to blame his players, insisting Liverpool's performances still show promise despite poor results. Slot pointed out that Liverpool is still producing between 8 to 10 clear chances per match, adding that the issue is finishing, not creativity. He admitted, however, to frustration over another defeat from a set piece and the handing of Alexis Mac Allister's head injury moments before United's opener. The Liverpool boss also defended his team's fair play ethos, saying his side doesn't fake injuries to stop play, and the referees should recognize that integrity. Despite the slump, Slot insists morale remains intact. Liverpool now turn their focus to Champions League match week 3, where they travel to Germany to face Eintracht Frankfurt on Wednesday, hoping to end their losing streak and reignite their season. There's a major boost for French champions Paris Saint-Germain as Ballon d'Or winner Ousmane Dembélé is set to make his long-awaited return from injury. After 6 weeks on the sidelines with a hamstring injury sustained while on international duty with France, the 28-year-old winger is now back in full training and could feature in Tuesday's Champions League clash against Bayern Leverkusen. A source close to PSG confirmed to AFP that Dembélé has been included in the traveling squad to Germany. His return comes as a relief to head coach Luis Enrique, who has had to manage multiple injuries within his squad this season. Dembélé has been recuperating at a specialist clinic in Qatar before returning to training last week. PSG also welcomed back forwards Desire Doué and Khedira Kvaratskhelia in their recent 3-3 draw with Strasbourg, though midfielders Fabian Ruiz and Joao Neves remain sidelined. Despite the challenges, PSG have made a strong start to their Champions League title defense, recording wins over Atalanta and Barcelona in their first 2 matches. Luis Enrique says his club will not rush any player's recovery, emphasizing that maintaining fitness remains a top priority as the team continues its European campaign. And with that sports news, we'll come to the end of our Daily News Roundup for today, right in Atlantic TV. Do also follow us on all our social media platforms for more news stories and headline updates. Thank you so much for watching. I am Nkechi Tejere. Have a pleasant day.